you grow all these vegetables on?
My name is Lorenz.
Lorenz, sorry.
No problem.
I apologize.
No, it's just a small farm in comparison to other big farmers. We just have 12 hectares and nearly 3,000 square meters on the glass or
Greenhouses.
greenhouses.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But then with 40 types of vegetables, it's still
Yeah.
quite, and then it's a lot of land. Yeah.
And that's the
So-
problem in Europe handling with such enterprises, because normally you get Förderung, the subsidies for big farms. So it's by hectare. You get the money for the hectares. And I have just small stripes of every type of vegetable. So when I want to have a real subsidy, then sorry.
Let's talk about that later on.
Yeah.
Thanks everyone watching online. My name is Fons Jansen. I'm a proud member of Volt Europa and part of the agriculture policy community from Volt Europa. And today we are here live at Borderbal, one of the cross-border events that Volt here in the Netherlands and in Germany is organizing. And today we talk more about the recent vision that we have presented with our MEP Anna Stronenberg that outlined the vision of our fraction in the European Parliament about agriculture and food. Today we will inform you more about that vision. And the good thing is, here with Borderbal, we can talk further about this vision with the perspectives here locally and regionally from the EUR-regio. But before we continue, I want to invite Christian to come over and talk more about our communities.
I just have a few words. I don't do this with hat. My name is Christian Meinsma, coordinator of the different thematic communities for Volt Europa. And thematic communities are these communities across Europe for Volt members with expertise, with enthusiasm for a certain topic. And you should definitely join one of them. And each month we have, with a different thematic community, an event that is streamed on Volt Europa YouTube in a different country. So in February, we were with the Digital First community in Germany. In March, we were with the health community in Poland. In April, we were with the defense and security community in Czech Republic. Last month with the housing and mobility community in France. And now here today in the Netherlands with the agriculture and food community. Back to you.
Thanks, Christian. Because we are in Glanenbrug, so which is actually a village really at the border between the Netherlands and Germany. And Christian, I would like to ask you to show the slides, and then we go through the program outline. So it's the second slide. So initially, I will talk to you more about the vision. Some of you I've explained about how you can watch the slides with your phone for the people that are watching here in person. Then we will introduce our other speakers again and more elaborately. And then we will have a group dialogue among us, and then we invite you in the public and digitally to also post your questions. We go to the first slide, to the third slide, which is about the launch that Anna Stronenberg made. And personally, I'm very happy that this milestone is there, because when it comes to the EU budget, agriculture and food is very important. But I've got a question already from the audience. Yes. So you can see the vision in the documents that will be handed out. And the slides you can also see with bit.ly/borderbal with a capital B, agri. So bit.ly/borderbal agri with capital B and capital A. Good, let's continue with the launch of the vision that happened last Monday in Utrecht. So Anna was reading a book from Joris Lohman, an expert in the Netherlands from his organization Food Hub, and he is helping a lot with farmers that are in transition, because it's not only important to listen to the farmers that are already fully sustainable or farmers that are resisting it. There's also a very big group and different types of groups that are hesitant, that want to make improvements but do not know how. because as a farmer, you're also limited or restrained sometimes by the market or by policy. And with the Food Hub, he's helping a lot of farmers, and he has recently written a book called Boterkaas en Havermout, where he outlines like pathways how we transition, because especially in the Netherlands, many of the farmers and stakeholders are in a deadlock, and well, we are not continuing with many of the crises. We will talk more about that later. But it really inspired Anna to really think about, hey, how can Volt have a unique voice also in the European Parliament, where many of the big agriculture decisions are actually made when it comes to environmental standards, when it comes to standards of the single market, with the big trade agreements, which food do we want to import and export to other sides of the world. And we discussed this last Monday also with Joris, also with a researcher from the Wageningen University, really about which are the facts that if you want to do a more nature-inclusive farming, production will be lower, and you also need to take that into account with land use management. A farmer that is not farming with cows to produce milk, but that directly use vegetables or grass to produce protein-based products, and also a young farmer from the Young Farmer Association. So when we go to the next slide, I will mention a couple of the key pillars in this vision. By the end of this presentation, you will also see a link where you can read the full vision. But one of the things that was discussed heavily during the launch was the zoning of landscapes, because it's very important to be aware that some of our agricultural fields are more fertile than others, and that it's very important that we also have not only have places where things are purely for nature, but that we also make sure that we have places that are very important for food security, but also places, for instance, around nature that don't need to be fully focused on food production, but can be a mix with nature-inclusive agriculture. So this zoning really helps to make clarity for farmers how they can continue in the coming decades. Another topic is that Volt finds it very important to support entrepreneurship in agriculture. Very often we see, at least in my region, that farmers have very much difficulty to find follow-up, who of the next generation wants to start a farm. And many people outside of the rural communities are not always feeling invited to join the sector. So with Volt, we find it very important that food and agriculture is an innovative and very interesting sector to work in, and that we should support newcomers in the sector or also people that want to do it differently. And with these food entrepreneurs, we don't only want to stimulate new income models, but also about how we can stimulate technical innovation. For instance, with robotics, you can have electrified and smaller energy efficient robots doing some of the teenagers' work to remove the weeds instead of using very cheap labor from our Eastern European members or Europeans, or even from farther away.
Is it like genuine question? Is like a good thing or a bad thing if we lose the jobs for Eastern European?
That's something we can discuss later on. I think it's very valuable, because another topic on slide 6 is strengthening innovation. That Anna finds it very important that not only with, for instance, the hydrogen investment that we are making to really bridge the infrastructure for renewable gases, that we also equally have a big fund to really boost our innovation in sustainable agriculture. So with Volt, we are aware about that technology can be a good thing or a bad thing, and that it really depends on the context that you're working at, but that in positive, we are, in general, we are quite positive about technological innovation, but that it really should be helpful to improve the quality of nature and also improve the quality of life for farmers. For instance, being much more specific with biological pesticides, it's also much more healthy when farmers need to apply it than with certain chemical pesticides. And then lastly, about the governance, it's really important to have a common food policy. For instance, the Common Agriculture Policy, one of the biggest policy frameworks in the EU, we see that many of the income and the subsidies now are linked to ecological schemes, so that farmers need to comply to certain ecological standards in order to receive the subsidy. But we see that member states can decide what is being uptaken in the ecological schemes, and we already see that by doing this, the ecological standards are watered down. And with Volt, we find that very much a pity, in that this thing should be stronger used, like centralized on the federal, on by the European Commission, in order to really make sure that our environmental standards and goals are met. Also, what Alice saw in analysis with many stakeholders is that currently we have a Commissioner for Agriculture, but it would make sense to turn that Commissioner for Agriculture into a Commissioner for Food, so that you are not only looking at it from a production side, but also from a processing and consumption side. Because if you only look for production, it's really very often cost price driven, because then they want to make the food as cheap as possible. But if you can connect it with the retailers, the horeca, the cafe bars, and also the consumers, there is a lot of food that's also wasted. And so it's really also about how can we make sure that the right amount of margins and money also goes to the producers in order to make the transition.
Can I ask a question?
Very short, yeah.
Very short. So is there also a focus on bio-based building? So agriculture, especially for building, making building materials.
Yes.
Not for food, but like.
So the bio-based production for materials is very important, because Volt has a big ambition also when it comes to the industry, that our buildings need to be like climate positive instead of climate negative, because bricks and concrete are energy intensive, and concrete makes CO2. So it makes sense to have more forestry in Europe, or to make good deals with our neighboring continents about sustainable forestry. But that also requires zoning, because it's not always easy to grow forests, because also that's a long-term investments if you want to do it, or if you want to combine forestry with agriculture in permaculture setups. To continue, what is also important is that the European Food Safety Agency is not only checking the safety standards, but can also be a proactive force to enable innovation, especially with novel foods for the protein transition. And that the common agriculture policy should also be used as a tool to de-risk and transition fund, to really help farmers to change the way of farming, and not only giving a basic set of income. And that for young farmers and farmers in general, the food EIT that is responsible for innovation, that they also do more proactive informative sessions, how you can improve your way of farming. And that Erasmus is also more marketed to young farmers to learn abroad on a farm that they are of their interest. Oh yeah, 2 more to go. Circular food systems are important. So about the resources. Currently we import a lot of biomass, and netto in the Netherlands we have nitrogen and manure surplus. And that's something that is not sustainable, because that gives a lot of fertilization problems, that things are getting too rich in nutrients. So with Volt, we find it important that from a European perspective, we have circular food systems, so that production and consumption is in balance. And if we look towards climate and also to health, it's much more important that we shift our diet from animal-based proteins to more plant-based proteins. And that requires a lot of legislation financially to make vegetable proteins cheaper, or that new ones are produced. For instance, European soy can also be produced here, but it needs a lot of support in order to make it a more common crop to grow. That having said, that was the vision in short. I have many topics have not been dealt with. For the questions at the end, we can talk more about the vision with a panel, but now I want to continue to introducing our speakers. And I would like to start with Maren.
Yeah, thank you. I'm Maren. I grew up on a farm in the Münsterland, I saw how many changes over the time my parents needed to make, and this is what I want to talk with you later. And I'm also a candidate for Münster in the Münsterland, and there I'm looking especially on sustainability and also on agriculture.
Can you pass it on to Henk?
Yes.
Sure, sorry, I thought you.
No worries.
I have to introduce myself.
Yeah,
first?
introduce yourself shortly.
Oh, okay. I'm Henk Lenteeslink. I just introduced myself already a little bit. I forgot what I said, but I did agriculture university, and I work also for the company Host. It's a Dutch company, but it's working international on bioenergy and making organic fertilizer instead of fossil fertilizer. But we make also from hydrogen renewable energy for cars, etc.
Good. And then lastly, this morning I met Lawrence, who also wants to join to share his perspective. Because Lawrence, what are you doing?
Yeah,
Let's put the microphone close to you now.
I have a small farm, organic farm in Germany, Western Germany. Yeah, and we do 40 different cultures, 40 different crops. Yeah, it's just a small farm. We have 12 hectares. I think that's small because other farms normally have 400 or something like this in Germany nowadays. So
Good.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Henk, let's first continue with your slides, with your presentation.
Yeah.
Yes, of course. Yes, so we're going to slide 11. So Henk, please.
I need my glasses.
Yes.
Older man.
So please present us what you have learned throughout the years.
I want to present the added value of digestion of manure for as well the climate as well the soil, and it's part of maybe the innovative chances, but it's very useful for nature inclusive agriculture as well as high intensive agriculture. So it's not only for intensive agriculture. I show you the circular system for agriculture. So you have a farm, and then when you now maybe I have to explain a little bit how this digestion system works, otherwise you will not understand it. We call it rotting, biodegradable organic materials. They will when you mix it and you add some temperature to it, you will produce biogas, and from the biogas you can make gas like you use at household level. When you do that, you strip the CO2, and you can choose to blow it in the wind, the CO2, or you can collect it and use it in new systems. On the end side of the digestion, the thing what's not digested, it's very good for as manure because it's stable organic material. It's like that you don't eat fast food, but the slow food. And you can strip also the nitrogen so that you don't throw the nitrogen on your soil with the manure, but you use it at the moment that you want to use it on a special place and a special moment. That's the background. And what does it what is our experience? We have our company has own digestion systems, but we sold maybe 30 or 50 of this kind of installations, and we have ourselves 3 or 4. So we have our own experience and a lot of clients. And because we have our own experience, we can do a lot of research, because we can do, well, when we do this or when we do that, what does deliver us? What you see on the sheet is all the advantages of this system. In Holland, we have the ammonia crisis. So we have to put down decline the amount of nitrogen that is coming on the land. This is system at the stall.
In the barn.
And we decline the amount to 40 to 50% of ammonia. Then the amount of methane, it's also 10 to 20% less. And that's the main amount of methane is because the cows are boring.
Burping,
The main amount of methane doesn't come via the manure, but via the burping.
Slide 12.
Yeah, and the amount of sustainable gas you get is about from one cow. It delivers about for half a household. So 2 cows, they deliver gas for 1 household. That's the amount you can count. Then you have the digestion. Huh?
We can use the gas.
Sorry?
Yeah, no, it's wrong. So we can use that gas.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Then instead of the artificial, the fossil fertilizer, you collect bio fertilizer. And it's not that you say, okay, then I have that, and I don't have to buy the fossil, but it's also more effective. So you have to use less than from the fossil fertilizer. It's about 70%. Because you have it concentrated, you can use it at every moment that you want. So it's not you have the manure and you have to put it on the soil, but you have just a small piece and you can use it deeply in the soil near the roots, etc. And also on the land you have less emissions as well from ammonia, but also from nitrogen oxides, what will trickle down to the groundwater. So there is I cooperate with a farm, and he said the amount of nitrogen oxides in water, in the groundwater, is halved now. Okay, then what's the cost of this system? That's why we are so against buying out farmers. It costs a lot of money.
We're going to the next slide on slide 30.
Oh, sorry. What's the cost? To do this is 2 to 3 million euros, and then you can do half of all the manure in the Netherlands. And maybe it can be less, because when this bio nitrogen is accepted as as replacement for the fossil, then it has more value. And then there is a discussion that the energy companies are prohibited, but they have to mix bioenergy, and it will start the 1st January of 2027 when it's all right. That will also decline this 2 to 3 million, maybe to 0. This zoning is very important. So where can we do this? And I will give some more information about the zoning afterwards. And it's important that the people from the green side understand this system and the extra value.
Yeah. Then we go to slide 14.
Yeah. Then the scale in which you can do that. Now it's often so that the municipalities and the provinces, they say, okay, it's good when an individual farmer will do that. Or you do it on an industrial way, on an industrial area. But in Holland, only 10% of the farms is big enough to do that. So it's no chance for the smaller ones. And from the bigger ones, there are a lot. They say, yeah, but I'm a farmer. I'm not a technical expert or something like that. You can also do it together. So let's say 10 farms cooperate. But it's very difficult to get a permit for that, because the 9 farmers have to transport the manure to one farm. And then you get all kind of discussions. You can also do it some bigger, let's say with 30 farmers. I will explain later on what then the advantages are. And there are a lot of plans for very big ones. And I don't believe in the very big ones, because then the relation between the farmers and the plant operators is lost. When you are in the middle, when you cooperate with 10 or 20 farmers, you can make agreements that you get back the digest and you get back the nitrogen, and that you have a closed system.
Yes, and on the next slide, or slide 15, you see the differences.
Then you see the differences. So then we have various scales with advantages. So when it's small, you can do the digestion, but it's difficult to make the green gas. And to strip the nitrogen is also difficult because it's then quite costly. And the getting back the CO2, it's not possible at that scale. The municipalities are the bevoegd gezag.
They are the layer of government that can decide whether
They
can
can.
build.
The municipalities can decide. When you do it in an area, so with 5 or 10 farms, you can also do the digestion. It comes to the opportunity to make green gas. It's a little bit costly, but you can do that. Huh?
It's important to know that if you digest things, you have biogas, but that does not have that has impurities in it. So it cannot directly put into the gas grid because of corrosive things like sulfides. And therefore it needs to be cleaned to a certain standard in order to really put on
to
the
make
gas.
exactly the same quality as our fossil gas.
Yeah.
You can do that, but a little bit more scale, then it's economical, more interesting, but you lose also a little bit the relation with the farmers. So it's a balancing trick. So that's what this scheme shows. In this CO2, it has double function. You have less green gases, of course, because it's already a lot less, because methane is a much stronger green gas than CO2. So that's already an advantage. But when you get back to CO2, you can combine this with hydrogen. And with the hydrogen and CO2 together, you can make methanol or gas, etc. You can make a lot of products. So that's also useful in the discussion to produce syngas, etc., for transport.
Or to use it for greenhouse gases, because if you are not burning fossil fuels anymore to heat your greenhouses,
it's
you
also
could also
possible.
use that CO2 by combusting the biogas and using the remaining CO2.
But also to the beverage industry. For beer, you need CO2. For the packaging industry, because they use a lot of CO2 to keep products more houdbaar. You can,
and then to the next slide, is slide 16.
Okay, that's good that you. Sorry?
I was wondering, why do you think it's so important for farmers to have the relationship with the cow poo? Because if I recycle and I recycle everything, I don't necessarily have a relationship to what I recycle.
Can you repeat the question also? Can you also repeat the question before you answer?
Okay, she asked for why is it important to have the direct relation with the farmers who deliver the manure and getting back the digested product and nitrogen. Yeah, you that's right. You can, but I think people are more motivated when they can get back the manure, the digestion, when they can back the nitrogen, and when the loops are closer, it may be more that people are more motivated. Maybe.
Let's check that, and maybe Hank,
maybe you're right.
Hank, you have maybe one last thing that you want to say about nitrogen?
Yeah, what I'm wondering, we have a very rigid system for nitrogen. We are allowed only to, we call it the critical deposit value levels of nitrogen that may be deposited on nature areas, Natura 2000 areas. In Holland, it's 0.00.5. And so when I have a new company and my company is buying a dog, I will not get the permit, because when the dog is one time shitting in a nature area, I have the overruled the what, how do you say that, over
The threshold.
Yeah, threshold for 20 years. Only when my dog is shitting one time in a nature area, and so that's very rigid, and it gives a lot of problems for building companies, etc. Because you're easily to the threshold, and in Germany, it's not 0.00.5, but it's 21 more, and that's very little. And in Denmark, it's, for example, 35. So I'm wondering, why do we have in the Netherlands such a rigid norm, and like in Germany?
Let's keep that for the questions and the discussion afterwards. I first want to talk further with our other speakers, and then we move towards the questions. So Maren, on slide 17, you are also like displayed with your horse. Can you explain a little bit more about the farm that you grew up on?
Sure. So I think to grow up on a farm sounds always like a very like a dream or a very nice childhood, and I must say in general it is, but there are some things maybe they are not visible from the outside, and how this changed. So I will take you up on my journey on this farm where I grew up. So as I told you, it's in the Münsterland. We have a bit less than 20 hectares, so we are still a smaller farm, or considered as a smaller farm. And when I was really little, and my first memories were there, we had pigs and cattle, and we grew potatoes, what we also sell direct on our farm. And we also had horses, and horses was a big kind of a new thing. So my parents started to build this horse stable when I born 2 years ago, or 2 years before. And over the time, we needed to change a lot of things, because especially with the pigs we had, you need to invest in, or you need to stop it, because the price got dropped. And so there was the question, do we need to have more, or we need to find other value streams? And they decided, okay, this is really risky for us, we will not invest anymore into the pigs, but for this we will invest more into the horse stables. And then this came up, and they really shifted their business model they had in the farm. And besides this, they also have, in Germany we would call it Lohnunternehmen, so that you harvest for others. So during the summers it was always very, very busy. So we needed to harvest other crops for other farmers. So it was very hard summer seasons. And we did this with 3 harvest machines or harvesters. And so that my parents had a business for every season, and at no time only one business. So they had various streams they depended on. And then they found out, okay, so 10 years ago, there is the thing with energy. So they were kind of early adopters, I would say, to put the solar panels on their roofs. So that was another value stream they integrated in their farm. But I think they do it because they really believe in this, what they're doing. So they produce food. They are a meeting point in the city, but they are working quite a lot. So in my childhood, once a year we went for 1 week somewhere, mostly in Germany, and I remember every time the night before, my parents worked all day and all night, because otherwise we couldn't go to our holidays. And nowadays, so when you talk now with my parents, they would say, okay, we have more or less 3 value streams. So at once we have the horses, so other people put their horses in our stables, and we produce all the things around. We have the hay, we have the crops the horses eat, and stuff like this. And we have the potatoes, and they're quite lucky, because they are very close to the town, to the people. So they are still buying direct at our farm. Okay. Nowadays we have a vending machine for the potatoes and other local goods. So they also changed the delivery chain. And they cooperate a lot with other farmers in their community. So they're really based in the in the city, and they are also based or in collaboration with the others. And so I think this story tells there are so many things that change, and nowadays we really think or we need to think about the next change, because my parents are looking to their retirement nowadays, and there is right now no solution how to get on with this, because it's a lot of work to do. It's hard work, and plus the work, we also have the bureaucracy, bureaucracy in what comes with it, and that they need to put so many data to so many different data banks, and they always really struggle with this, and especially when they do some mistakes over there, they are really dependent to the subsidies, because they are quite a small farm. And this is a bit the story I wanted to tell.
So, maybe you can keep the microphone. But when you talk with friends or acquaintances in the region, what kind of opportunities or positive developments and challenges you see around? Because one of the things you're saying is having a local vending machine.
Yes.
I see that also in my region, that after COVID, many more people were aware where to buy the food locally, and robotics has gone cheaper. So local vending machines next to your farm have become more common. Is that also what you see further in the region? And can you also describe more about the challenges you see around?
I would say so. It's not only my parents' farm that use these ventilating machines. It's all over, but you see, because of this, people are more getting into collaboration, and I think this is something you really can use to get more together. How can we do it together? We are smaller farmers. We all do different things. So in the Münsterland, you have a lot of livestock farmers as well. And my parents, they got their potatoes, and then we have other people who deliver honey and stuff. And people really enjoy this and really like to be so close to a farm and know there is a meeting point also for people. And I think that's great. Yeah, and on the other side, it's quite challenging, especially because of the climate change. So I see my parents every year when they look to their fields, like, it's so dry. Will the potatoes come through? And then they're like, okay, because we have no watering systems yet, and I think it's a yet. At some point they need them. And on the other side, they have heavy rain, and then it's like, oh, can we really get on the fields? I think Laurens can tell us a bit more stories about it later. But it's always a big fear to say, okay, it's the weather is not stable anymore, so we see that our environment is shifting, and they have to deal with.
Thanks for explaining, Maren.
May I have also one question?
No, we do the questions afterwards.
Okay.
I want to move on. I'm the moderator today. So I want to pass the mic to Laurens. And so Laurens, you have decided to become a farmer yourself. Can you explain more why you have decided that, and also which topics relate with what Maren is?
I decided to become a farmer very late because in my youth, and I always thought it's so much work for so less money. Now I work 14 hours a day normally, and think it's such a nice work, but so hard.
Long days.
My girlfriend can tell you it's very often we don't see much in the week. But it's worth it, because I love to do this work, and I love to work with one team, and I love to get the Anerkennung from our clients and so on. It's very nice. Yeah.
And previously you informed us that you have 40 types of vegetables that you grow, and that you make a lot of food boxes that you sell directly to the households.
Yeah.
How does that relate to the collaboration with other farmers? Because is all the food in the box from your farm, or do you collaborate with other farmers?
No, we have nowadays we have I think 3,500 clients per week with these boxes, plus the market, the normally week market, and we put from other producers from the region, like milk and milk products and cheese and just sausages and so on, everything. Also from the what is it, TK, pizza and so on, everything together in these boxes and bring it to the household. And just cat food, everything you want, and it's all biological, even toilet paper. So I think it's a nice idea, but yeah, it's also a little crazy when I got sometimes, I don't know if it's really serious, when I got asked if I don't know, the papaya is from our field, so it's often jokes, but yeah, it's a little stupid, little crazy. What, yeah, the clients have a picture of us, no? So yeah, it's very nice that our partners they start to make some video sequences and some yeah, Instagram and so on. It's also hard work, so I have some hours a week to do some small sequences of
For the
few
communication.
seconds. Yeah. But it's worth it, I think. And then we have 20 childs who look at our fields and ask nice questions, and it's.
So you told me previously you have about 14 hectares where you have 40 types of vegetables. That's not very common in Germany or in the Netherlands, as far as I know. Why have you chosen this way of farming, and what are the advantages and challenges that you come across?
Yeah, the advantages I can't really tell you. It's just because I love it and I don't want to do just one culture, just one crop. Would be.
So it's the diversity of work that you do.
Yeah, it's a diversity.
And you can provide food over more seasons because you have more types.
Yeah, we have the greenhouses where we can have tomato and cucumber and so on. We have the fields and where we have everything else. And then we have a specialty chicory, which is a winter, a seasonal winter product.
What is that?
Witloff. Okay. Yeah, it's very special, and it was started so we can to have the people unsere Mitarbeiter, that we can pay them also in the winter. They have to do in the winter and in the summer, and we have the whole year. Yeah, we can keep them the whole year. That's very important, and that's a challenge too, because you always have some good workers and other workers, and you want to keep a good team the whole year. And when you teach them how to do the work, the season is over, and then when the next season starts, it's hard to get again good workers. So you try to get them the whole year.
Let's go to the last slide for the online audience. So you have heard 3 different stories from this region, how agriculture and food is developing, and the various challenges and positive developments you're seeing across. I really encourage everyone to follow on Instagram or on other social media Volt Europa and our MEP Anna Stronenberg. And you also see on the slides a link where you can read the agriculture vision and food vision yourself. If you're a Volt member yourself and you want to join our community, please send me a mail to fons.jansen@volteuropa.org to join our agriculture and food community, because currently we're also in the phase to revision the Dutch electoral program on agriculture and food, but we also support our representatives all across Europe and think further about how can the story Volt really help various agricultural stakeholders and consumers on our continent and beyond, about how agriculture can be a force for good. For the people here in the online and here in person, you can remain and send us questions. We can continue the dialogue. Also in the next workshop outside, we will discuss more about the vision of Volt with the handouts that we have brought along. So thank a lot already for your attention. Thanks for watching, and if you want to continue here, please stay, and afterwards we go outside.
said that they could ask questions afterwards.
And that's what we are going to do now. So I think we can stop or we can continue the live stream, but we can cut it, right? Or we, yeah.
You said cut it or continue with some questions here from the room.
I would say continue. If people,
But the people who want to now go outside, please go out.
if you want to stay, please stay. Eva? Yes, please.
I have a question. The Dutch municipal elections are coming up, and we are currently working on our local policy. And I was wondering, what kind of advice do you have as the agri community for things that we really should include in our local election program? And what kind of things can we ask you for advice on?
I think it's a super relevant question, but I would like to advise you to do that at the next workshop, because then we can really have a conversation on it. I think it's also for the digital viewers relevant to ask the questions related to these stories and to the vision. But if you want to contribute a bit, you can do.
A lot of these solutions require enthusiasm of local authorities, and they have to understand the solutions, because the zoning and the permitting, it's often local or from the province.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. This was just quickly going through the European vision. And was one thing I was kind of missing, and it was about the agricultural giants. Because for many farmers, these agricultural giants who will say, no, this is the price for which you can sell your food to us, not higher. Because of that, they get kind of stuck in a loop. So they want to go sustainable, but they don't have the financial resources to do that. I was just wondering on the people here on the table, how do you experience the relation with these agricultural giants?
You mean the agricultural giants like for farmers and Albert Heijn?
Yeah, for Albert Heijn and for farmers, Friesland Campina.
Yeah.
Or the
Vion.
recent developments with Douwe Egberts, so we see in the news this
Yes.
week in the Netherlands. Anyone who wants to comment on that?
Maybe. I think what I read, I think it's not good to say, we stop talking with these companies, or we have to do it only ourselves. I think we have to stay on speaking terms with these companies, but be very critical. And also these companies struggle. It's like Campina, they have people inside the company, they want to work on the innovation, but it's also a very bureaucratic company. And when the innovations are outside, not with Campina, often they will follow. So it's important to help innovations outside these big companies, but stay in touch with them too.
Now about fair pricing.
Yeah, the pricing. I think that two issues. Like for farmers, they sell fodder, and when the prices are too high, farmers will buy from others. So there are not so many opportunities for them, and they were about bankrupt some years ago. So they struggle for their survival. And Campina, it's like a cooperation. But it's so big that you are not really a member that feels like a member. Some people, they want cheap food, and it's political also important. And some people say we have to pay more for it. But for me, that's difficult. I have not the consistent answer on that.
Just one addition, because last Monday during the vision, also this was asked by A Costa or Eosta, one of the bigger biological vegetable sellers or retailers. And what Anna told us on the European level is that you don't only want to do like certain things with prices need to be included with the fair pricing. For instance, have pre-investments on climate adaptation in order to have irrigation or to be smart with usage of water, or to also change your plants. For instance, with coffee, it's very climate sensitive, so it would make sense that you give those farmers money so that they can plant trees at other spaces, because certain places will be uninhabitable for coffee trees and they take a lot of years to do. But on the other hand, you cannot make the food too cheap, because then it's struggling for the producer. And at a certain moment with Volt, you also need to say, do you want to do income policy by agriculture, or is that a poverty topic and you need to have fair wages and or financial measures in your member state or in the municipality in order not to have food poverty? Because very often people that are poor, they have food poverty and energy poverty and mobility poverty, or is it just in general poverty? And that's very important to take into account when it comes to prices.
Yeah, I would like to add one thing on my story. In the Volt program, it's a lot go to agriculture and decline the amount of cattle, etc. But I think we have to be aware that the amount of fertilizer, of nitrogen we put on our soil, it's partly from manure, but still it's a lot of fertilizer. It's 170 kg you may add from manure, but then 70, 80 kg are added from. So this, I think we have to use the nitrogen much better, but we need also the minerals from the manure. So when we have less manure, we need more artificial fertilizer. We have to be aware of that.
More questions?
Yes, just some clarifying. You have a food box company, right? And it's for regional products.
Yeah, you also can buy cat food. What is that?
Yeah, that's the thing.
I don't know who produced it really. But
is there a regional cat food? That was one of the things that I was like.
I don't know if it's really regional, but
okay.
we have the vegetables and everything else. The food for humans. The most is regional, but you can also buy Italian olive oil or something. Yeah?
But it's your company. Or?
No, it's not my company. It's
okay.
my partner company. I just produce the vegetables.
Okay.
And he is putting this into boxes and make a whole thing of it. So normally you can see on the internet, on the website, ideas to cook with the parts of the box and so on, and what you can buy additional and so on, and But the vegetables mostly are mine, yeah.
And it's you're very busy, so it's probably successful, I guess.
Sorry?
It's probably a successful business if you're very busy and.
Yeah, for the reseller, yeah. For me, it's okay. Yeah.
We had to cut the question short, but Henk, you wanted to somewhere ask Maren a question, right?
Oh yeah, I had a question for Maren. And it's also in our program, it's an issue, how do we keep on to have enough farmers? And at your family, it's an issue for who will follow up. So what is your opinion about the chances for follow-up in farms?
Yeah, so I see in other farms already that they kind of said, yeah, no, we will not prolong anymore. So that they give up the farm and sell it to someone else. And I think that's a pity because there is so much behind, so much emotion in such a farm. So it's kind of a heritage you have there. And it's my perspective on this is it's quite hard because you see it's a lot of work. It's you get not rich from a farm normally when even it's a bigger one, but especially this smaller and middle ones, it's very hard to find a solution. And so I think maybe it's interesting to see maybe the follow-up generation is not like my parents full-time on a farm. So both of my parents work full-time there, but what can be solution in between? And how can you be innovative on the farm? And you need to have more kind of a experimental room and space over there to try things out without getting a too big risk.
So innovation will help to
Yep.
make the work more easy, and then follow up will be more easy.
Yeah, but I think Lorenz, maybe you have
Yeah, in some neighbor farms in our region, they started. They had the same problem, and they were big, big farms, and with big land, much hectares. And the followers, they started to make CSA, so community supported agriculture. No? So they are not longer. They don't longer depend from the free market, so they just have the members, and members pay even every month their amount, and so it's a little bit more secure, maybe. And I see it in a few cases.
Maybe I have one question for you.
We go to the last question over there, and then we can ask questions after the event. Just my contribution, because I'm also son from a farmer's family, and my parents took it over from my grandparents when my grandfather was ill, and they had to really wrap up very quickly who will take over it, and that is very challenging. So the most important thing is that you really talk early on within the family who wants to take it on, because sometimes it takes 8 or 10 years to really decide as a next generation whether you want it. And I think the strength of our farm, we are a mixed family farm with sheep, chickens, and a care facility for old people. And because you have many streams of income, it's much easier to take it on, because then you have choice which things you want to prolong, which things you want to continue, and one smaller thing that you stop or that you transition. And that makes options, and that you don't need to stay fully in the same path of your parents. That helps a lot in order to really get motivated to continue the work. The last question.
Last question. Well, I just read the Volt European Vision on Food. I just read it, and I noticed that there's this is a goal for impact. We have to make impact with healthy food and our agriculture. And one of the things is that there should be healthy lunch programs. Of course, healthy lunch programs for children. It has been on the political agendas for years now, especially in the Netherlands. And we have made some progress there, and we have got some money from our government to make it possible. But what is the vision from the agriculture itself? How they can contribute to these healthy programs? What is their connection?
So if I see it from my personal perspective, because I'm a regional civil servant for 7 municipalities where we have a lot of poverty in our region, and I see that farmers themselves barely can play a role, because it's public procurement. It's really with the local authorities that need to get funding from the national government in order to really fund these lunches. Some schools are very proactive with it, but then you need to ask money from the parents in addition if you want to have these lunches, or somehow get the money elsewhere that is not in the budgeting for schools. So of course, some schools, they pay attention to visit farms or to have more food education, but I think there's not a role from farmers. They can only advocate it towards local authorities, but it's really up to the governments in order to do the public procurement, because it's a public sector.
Thanks.
Lawrence, you maybe a final addition?
Just to this question, but okay. I think often the case is they need prepared vegetables, and the farmers can't do this. They can't cut it in slices and bring it to the schools, and so it's a thing of infrastructure.
Yeah, so you're saying that the local authorities, they should make a program for healthy lunches where the farmers can participate. So that they should be like the connector between the farmers and the schools.
Yeah.
Like the food boxes, but not for families, but the food boxes for schools.
Yeah, and the producing industry who
Yeah.
makes it
Okay.
suitable.
There's much to say further about this topic, and I really want to thank you for your lively and active participation. Thanks a lot for this first agriculture community event. Please continue the conversation at Borderball for the next workshop, and thanks for the digital audience to watch. Thank you.
Thank you.